Hey guys, Spartan here, showing you the internals look of my currently modded Praxis now. Picked this guy up just 2 days ago. I enjoyed it, but the locks and the detection systems of proper discs meant that a lot of my headshot ammo couldn't go through. And also the torsion spring, it is a strong boy, but it doesn't get put to its full potential. Now then, in opening my blaster, since these things are very much aged, they're probably 9 or 10 years old already, I did have 2 rusted screw posts when opening mine, so I had to use a drill and just destroyed this post. Same thing with this post in the grip. However, this one right here doesn't really mean anything since these 2 screws still work properly, so the grip still shuts nicely. This center one is also not detrimental because you have like multiple screws around it to be able to reinforce the main body. I did take the internals out, mainly because it's a lot more easier to work that way, so let's take a look at them now. I guess the easiest thing to look out is the torsion spring. Originally, let me get my screwdriver here. The torsion spring was located on this center, like the tail end of the torsion spring was located on this center screw post right here, being clamped down. I did in fact end up unlocking this guy, screwing it open, and then of course, taking it out and moving it towards the frontmost screw post. This should bring it up to around 70 to 80 FPS compared to the 50 to 60 that is in the original Vortex line. I know there's been people like Drac and many others who like a decade ago moved it all the way up here and then like just smothered it in epoxy putty. I don't want to go the complicated route because I ran out of epoxy glue and whatnot, 2-part and whatnot, so I just moved it over a screw post. The discs and their flying patterns already do enough for me. So there we go, I moved this forward. In terms of lock removal, I got rid of 2 pegs here that were basically the disc detection pegs. They detect when a disc is inside and they deactivate. First of all, they were already bent, so they didn't detect discs very well, or they didn't unlock very well. And second of all, as I said, with the headshot ammo discs that Auto Dart sells, some of their quality is, less than average, so they wouldn't really press down on these enough in order to unlock the system to allow for priming. I also unlocked this. I also took off this lock right here. I honestly have no idea what it did. It probably locked until there was a magazine detected, so I got rid of that. Overall though, this blaster can now prime and dry fire, but with this modded torsion spring, you do not want to dry fire. So instead I made it just so that I could actually deprime it. In case if I run out of ammo and, there's the spring is primed and ready to fire, I can now just push it forward. Looking now at the top sled up here, I'm experimenting with this area. At the moment, I did remove these 2 pieces. I'm unsure what their purpose is, which is why I removed them, to figure out if they do have a purpose. If the blaster doesn't operate, or if discs start falling out or double feeding or something, then I'll put these back in. But for now, this is all experimental wildlands modding. So yeah, they would eventually go up here. They would interact with one another, but now they're off. Of course, you have the wheel right here, which gives the disc its spin when it launches out the blaster. This right here obviously operates with this guy down here in order to release any... Oh wow, that fly landed close. But yeah, operated here to release any jammed discs or discs that just would not fire. And of course, this whole rod up here combines with this piece down here, which is of course the sled, which pulls back, takes the dart from the magazine and pushes it in. There's also a lock up here that I don't know the purpose of. I might remove it or I might leave it if it's not detrimental either. And then of course you have the ratcheting lock right here, to where once you pull this back at a certain point, it will set into place and it won't allow you to like reprime it or something. It's a bit tough to get out, so I'll just leave it there. I'm not sure. It is there to make sure that you do a full prime and you don't just leave it halfway. So I might as well just leave it in. So actually, in reality, I guess that doesn't mean I can really deprime it as easily. But still, I'll just leave it there for good measure until I pry this guy upwards and really yank it out. But for now, I'll leave it as is. So that's a look at the Praxis. When obviously you had the pump grip in here, it will push back on the system. It won't push back the whole thing, but it'll push back the bolt sled, pull it back. The front, this thing right here, it has an end in which it basically just pushes the torsion arm back as well. the flinging arm back as well to prime it up. Of course, you have the catch down here. Let's focus. Come on. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. But yeah, this down here is a catch that holds the torsion spring, holds the flinging arm right here. So once you pull the trigger, this guy slides down and the arm just flings forward and sends the dart flying. While of course the roller on the side right here puts the disc into a spinning motion to get that good old vortex spin. So yeah, that's how it operates. This is supposed to be closed down actually like this. It's hard to do with one hand. It's actually supposed to be like this when you put it into the shell. So when you pull this back, the only thing that moves is the bolt sled and not this whole assembly. But that's about all there is to it, really. There is mod guides out there. They're far and few. I didn't really record mine because this was like a 4-hour session. It was mainly just me learning about every little bit about this praxis. But buttoning it back up, it should be performing better and a lot more easier to operate with all types of discs. So I'll catch you guys then and we'll see what happens. Actually, before the firing footage, I will show you guys how it looks like all reassembled again. This panel right here is the trigger panel, in which obviously you pull the trigger and this guy flies back and releases the catch. Makes it able to actually fire. Fitting it on, you will need to screw this little guy that came off on top of here onto the gray box that you saw earlier. I did take off this and I did do a test fire inserting the magnet firing, and it did in fact fire. However, I'm going to button it back up and see if those things were actually meant to do things like prevent the disc from just falling out of the barrel. So I'll catch you guys then with the, in general, the firing demo. Alright, so the Praxis is buttoned all up again, and yes, it does in fact fire. It can also deprime, and the two, I guess the lock that was up here that I did remove earlier in the video didn't really have an effect in, risking discs sliding out or, not chambering properly. So yeah, we're going to fire off 5 genuine vortex and 5 headshot ammo discs to see if this guy will accept it all now that the disc detection locks are removed. Oh, it's primed, but it could be deprimed. So there you go. Sorry for the bad lighting here. But yeah, the Vortex Praxis is now working out well. And yeah, we're good to go here.